The phone rang at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in February. I was standing in my kitchen in Portland pouring my second cup of coffee when I saw my brother Marcus's name flash across the screen. We hadn't spoken in 4 months. My stomach dropped before I even answered. "Emily." His voice was flat, practiced. "Dad passed away this morning. The lawyer just called me. He left everything to me. The house, the accounts, everything. There's $50,000 for you, for your troubles." He paused. "Funeral's on Saturday. I'll text you the details." I stood there, staring at the rain streaking down my kitchen window, and I smiled. Not because I was happy, not because I didn't care, but because I knew something Marcus didn't know. I knew. My name is Emily Rodriguez. I'm 58 years old, and until 3 years ago, I taught high school English in Portland. I loved my job. I loved my students. I loved my comfortable little life with my book club and my garden and my weekend hikes with my best friend Rosa. But when Dad's Alzheimer's diagnosis came back when the doctors said he had maybe 3 to 5 years left, I made a choice. I quit my job. I sold my condo. I moved into the apartment above his garage to take care of him full time. My brother Marcus is 4 years older than me, 62. He's a successful financial consultant in Seattle, 2 hours north. Big house in Bellevue, expensive cars, country club membership. He used to call every couple of months. "How's Dad doing?" "That's great, sis. You're doing an amazing job. I'll try to visit next month." Next month never came. In the last 2 years, Marcus visited exactly twice. Once for an hour on Dad's 82nd birthday. Once for 45 minutes last Thanksgiving. Both times he spent most of the visit on his phone, taking calls about clients and portfolios. I didn't do it for money. I did it because David Rodriguez was my father. Because he taught me to ride a bike and helped me with my college applications and walked me down the aisle when I got married. Because when my marriage fell apart and I moved back to Portland broken and ashamed, he didn't judge me. He just made me his famous huevos rancheros and told me, "Mijita, sometimes life breaks us so we can rebuild ourselves stronger." So when the Alzheimer's took him piece by piece, when he stopped recognizing faces and then names and then words, I stayed. I woke up at 6 every morning to help him shower and dress. I made his breakfast and read him the newspaper, even though he couldn't follow the stories anymore. I played his favorite Celia Cruz records and held his hand when he cried because he was confused and scared. I did it 347 days a year for 3 years. No vacations, no breaks. Just me and Dad and the slow, cruel march of his disease. Marcus sent checks, $500 a month for Dad's care. I spent more than that every week on things Medicare didn't cover. Special foods when he could only eat soft things. New clothes when he forgot how to use the bathroom. A medical alert system. Physical therapy. I burned through my retirement savings. $73,000 over 3 years. I didn't tell Marcus. What was the point? But after that call, standing in my kitchen with my coffee going cold, I knew exactly what the point was. I called Rosa first. "He's really gone." She'd been asking me that for 6 months, ever since I told her what I'd discovered, what I'd been quietly documenting, what I'd been preparing for. "That's what Marcus says," I told her. "But Rosa, Dad's doctor hasn't called me. The facility hasn't called me. Just Marcus. Maybe they called him first because he's the older child." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe Marcus is doing exactly what I thought he'd do." I need to back up. 3 months ago, I went to Dad's assisted living facility to drop off some fresh clothes. He'd been there for 4 months by then. The Alzheimer's had progressed to the point where I couldn't safely care for him alone anymore. He needed 24-hour medical supervision. It destroyed me to move him there, but I visited every single day, sometimes twice a day. That afternoon in November, I was signing in at the front desk when I noticed the visitor log was open. Just out of curiosity, I flipped back through the pages. My name was there, multiple entries per day, going back months. But Marcus's name was there too, once every 2 weeks, regular as clockwork. Marcus Rodriguez, 2:00 p.m., 3:00 p.m. My brother hadn't visited Dad once since we moved him to assisted living. Not once. I felt my face get hot. "Excuse me," I said to the receptionist. "These entries for Marcus Rodriguez. Do you remember him coming in?" She looked uncomfortable. "I work different shifts, so... But you'd remember if someone signed in and didn't match the signature right. If someone was signing in under a false name," she looked away. That's when I knew. I went home, and I started digging. I went through Dad's mail, his financial statements, everything I'd been managing for him under his power of attorney arrangement. That's when I found the withdrawals. $412,000 moved out of Dad's retirement accounts over 18 months. Transferred to an account I didn't recognize. The paperwork showed Dad's signature witnessed by a notary. But here's the thing, Dad's Alzheimer's was diagnosed 4 years ago. By the time those transfers happened, he could barely remember what day it was. He couldn't have signed legal documents. He couldn't have understood what he was signing. I did something then that I'm not entirely proud of, but I'm not sorry for either. I installed a small camera in Dad's room at the facility, hidden in a picture frame. I told myself it was to make sure the staff was treating him well, that he wasn't being neglected or abused. But really, I had a suspicion. A terrible, creeping suspicion about my brother. 6 weeks later, the camera caught Marcus. He came in on a Saturday afternoon when he knew I'd be at Rose's house my one afternoon off each week. He brought papers, a manila folder full of them. The camera had no audio, but I could see everything. I could see Marcus sitting down next to Dad, who was staring out the window, lost in whatever fog his mind had retreated into. I could see Marcus putting papers in front of him, putting a pen in his hand, guiding his hand to sign. 1 page, 2 pages, 3. Then Marcus left folder under his arm without spending more than 12 minutes in the room. I took the video to a lawyer, not just any lawyer, Sarah Mitchell. She'd helped my friend Rosa with her parents' estate. She was known for elder law for protecting seniors from exploitation. I walked into her office on a cold Monday morning in December with my laptop and a sick feeling in my stomach. Sarah watched the video 3 times. Then she looked at me, her face grave. "Emily, what your brother is doing is elder financial abuse. It's also fraud, possibly forgery if those signatures aren't even close to your father's real handwriting. Do you have copies of the documents he's been having your father sign?" "No," I said, "but I can tell you what I think they are. I think he's been changing Dad's will. I think he's been moving assets. I think he's been planning to cut me out completely." Sarah leaned back in her chair. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to document everything. Every visit you've made to your father, every dollar you've spent, every medication, every doctor's appointment, every meal, every moment. We're going to establish that you have been your father's primary caregiver. We're also going to file for a conservatorship evaluation. If your father is mentally incompetent, any documents he's signed in the past 2 years could be invalidated." "But Marcus has power of attorney," I said. "So do you," Sarah reminded me. "Your father gave both of you power of attorney back before he got sick. Marcus has been abusing that power. The question is, can we prove it before something happens that makes it too late?" Something. We both knew what that something was. We were waiting for Dad to die. It felt horrible, mercenary, like we were vultures circling. But I knew Marcus. I knew he was waiting for the same thing, waiting for the moment when there'd be no one left to contest whatever arrangements he'd made. I just didn't expect it to happen so fast. After Marcus's call that Tuesday morning, I didn't go to the funeral home. I didn't call the facility. I called Sarah first. "He says Dad's dead," I told her. "He says there's a will leaving everything to him except $50,000 for me. Have you confirmed this with the facility?" I called them next. The nurse on duty was confused. "Ms. Rodriguez, I just saw your father an hour ago. He had breakfast. He's resting in his room now." "Who told you he'd passed?" My hands were shaking. "My brother called me. He said Dad died this morning." There was a long pause. "I don't understand. Your father is alive. Would you like me to check on him right now?" "Yes," I whispered. "Please." She came back 2 minutes later. "He's fine, sleeping peacefully. Ms. Rodriguez, I don't know what's going on, but your father is very much alive." I hung up and called Marcus back. He didn't answer. I called 3 more times. Nothing. I texted, "Dad's not dead. What are you doing?" 20 minutes later, he called back. His voice was different now. Angry. Defensive. "I don't know what you're talking about. The lawyer called me. He said Dad passed last night. If there's been some mistake..." "There's no mistake, Marcus. I just talked to the facility. Dad's alive. You lied to me." Silence. Then, "You're confused, Emily. This has been hard on you. Maybe you should..." "I have the video," I said quietly. "From Dad's room. I have you on camera forcing him to sign documents when he didn't even know what day it was. I have the financial records showing you stole $400,000 from him. I have 18 months of fake visitor logs. I have everything. Marcus." The silence that followed was so long, I thought he'd hung up. "Then you're bluffing." "I'm not. And I've already been to a lawyer. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to return every penny you took. You're going to admit what you did. Or I'm going to file a police report and a civil suit, and I'm going to make sure everyone you know, every client you have, every person at your country club knows exactly what kind of man you are." He hung up. I sat down on my couch and cried for 20 minutes. Not for Marcus, not for the money, but because I'd been right. My brother, the person I'd played with as a child, who I'd looked up to, who I'd loved, had tried to steal from our dying father, had tried to erase me from Dad's legacy, had been willing to let me sacrifice everything while he took everything. Rosa came over that night. We sat in my kitchen drinking wine while I told her the whole story. "What if he doesn't give it back?" she asked. "What if he fights you?" "Then we go to court," I said. "Sarah's ready. We have everything we need." Marcus didn't call back for 3 days. When he finally did, his lawyer was on the line with him. "Ms. Rodriguez, my client wants to resolve this matter amicably. He's prepared to return the funds in question and to split the estate equally when the time comes." "No," I said. Sarah was sitting next to me, coaching me through every word. "Equal isn't fair. I've spent 3 years caring for Dad full-time. I've spent $73,000 of my own money. I've given up my career, my savings, my life. Marcus has spent maybe 20 hours total with Dad in the last 3 years. The estate should reflect that." There was muffled conversation on the other end. Then Marcus's lawyer came back. "What are you proposing?" 70-30 split, I said. "I get 70%. Marcus gets 30. He returns the $400,000 immediately. He admits in writing to the financial exploitation. He agrees to have no further access to Dad's finances or medical decisions." "That's unacceptable," the lawyer said. "Then we'll see you in court," Sarah said, leaning toward my phone. "And Mr. Rodriguez, you should know that elder financial abuse is both a civil and criminal matter in Oregon. Your client could be looking at significant jail time, not just financial penalties." They hung up. Sarah squeezed my hand. Now we wait. 2 weeks later, Marcus caved. His lawyer sent a settlement offer, 70-30 split full return of the fund's written admission of wrongdoing. In exchange, I wouldn't file criminal charges. I'd keep everything private. His reputation, his business, his life would continue as before, just significantly poorer. I wanted to make him suffer. I wanted everyone to know. But Sarah talked me through it. Criminal cases take years. They're unpredictable. This way you get justice, your father's money is protected, and you can focus on spending whatever time he has left with him. That's what matters, Emily. Not revenge, justice. I signed the settlement in March. $400,000 returned to Dad's accounts. Another $100,000 to me as compensation for my caregiving expenses. The estate to be split 70-30. All of Dad's existing documents declared invalid due to his mental incapacity at the time of signing. Marcus agreed to counseling and 5 years of probation with social services, a condition I insisted on. If he ever tried something like this again with anyone, there would be a record. But here's the thing, nobody tells you about justice. It doesn't feel the way you think it will. I thought I'd feel triumphant, vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired and sad because I'd lost my brother. The brother I thought I had anyway. Turned out that brother never existed. Or maybe he did once. And somewhere along the way, money and success and ego twisted him into someone unrecognizable. Dad lived for another 7 months after the settlement. The Alzheimer's progressed. He stopped talking, stopped eating much, faded away piece by piece until there was almost nothing left of the man who'd been my father. I was with him every day. I held his hand and played his music and told him stories about my childhood, even though I knew he couldn't understand anymore. On his last morning, a beautiful October day with golden light streaming through his window, I read him Hemingway, his favorite. The Old Man and the Sea. The nurse said people can often hear us even at the end. He died peacefully, surrounded by flowers I'd brought from my garden. The staff at the facility cried with me. They'd gotten to know us over those years. They'd seen me come in every single day, rain or shine, sick or healthy, heartbroken, or just tired. Always there, always showing up. Marcus came to the funeral. He stood in the back. We didn't speak. After the service, as people were leaving, he walked up to me. His face was gray, older than I remembered. "I'm sorry," he said. Just that. "I'm sorry." I looked at my brother, this stranger wearing my brother's face. "I forgive you," I said, because Dad would have wanted me to, "but I don't trust you, and I don't think I ever will again." He nodded and walked away. I haven't heard from him since. The estate was settled in December. After everything was divided, I got about $840,000. Marcus got $360,000. I used some of it to pay off Rosa, who'd been quietly lending me money for 2 years. I used some to take a real vacation, my first in 3 years. I went to Mexico, to the beach town where Dad and Mom had their honeymoon 50 years ago. I sat on the sand and cried, and felt the sun on my face, and slowly remembered what it felt like to not be afraid all the time. But mostly, I used the money to start something Dad would have been proud of. The David Rodriguez Memory Care Fund. It helps families afford quality care for loved ones with Alzheimer's and dementia. It pays for the things insurance doesn't cover. The soft foods and the alert systems and the physical therapy. The things I'd spent my savings on. The things that had almost bankrupted me. Because here's what I learned through all of this. Family isn't about blood. It's not about inheritance or obligation or duty. It's about who shows up. It's about who sits with you in the hard moments when there's nothing to gain and everything to lose. It's about who loves you when you have nothing left to give but your confused, frightened, fading self. I showed up for my father, every single day, not because I thought I'd be rewarded, not because I wanted his money, but because he was my dad. And showing up is what you do for people you love. Marcus showed up for an inheritance, and in the end, that's exactly what he got. Just an inheritance. Just money. He didn't get the memories of Dad's last laugh. He didn't get the moment when Dad, in a brief flash of clarity, looked at me and said, "Thank you, mijita." He didn't get to say goodbye. You can't put a price on that. Any of it. Marcus learned that lesson the hard way. He got his 30% of an estate. I got 100% of a father's love. In the end, I know who got the better deal. On cold mornings now, when I pour my coffee and look out at the rain, I sometimes think about that phone call, about Marcus's voice telling me I'd get nothing, about how I smiled because I already had everything that mattered. I'd had it all along. Love, integrity, the knowledge that when it counted, when it was hard and thankless and exhausting, I'd done the right thing. That's the inheritance that matters. That's the one that lasts.